In a statement to the SEC, the U.S. securities regulator, MicroStrategy, and its illustrious boss, Michael Saylor, announced that the company will sell 1 billion shares of stock with the intention of reinvesting all or part of it in Bitcoin. The announcement is all the rage because, in principle, the more U.S. companies put Bitcoin on their balance sheets, the more Bitcoin will become a solid asset. But what is this company? What is it doing and why is it loading up on Bitcoin? Does this reflect mass buyout or the whimsy of a lone entrepreneur? Come on, let's go. MicroStrategy is basically a company that sells professional software for strategic planning. It's a company with fairly stable revenue since 2017 at $500 million a year and has been losing money a bit in recent years. In short, it is basically a company that lives its life quietly. However, its stock price has literally skyrocketed since the company began reporting on its Bitcoin purchases. You see, every time MicroStrategy buys Bitcoin, its stocks rise much more than the price of Bitcoin itself. Before these Bitcoin purchases, say in 2019, the company was worth about $1.5 billion. But today, its value is over $6 billion, while the company's business is basically flat. At this point, one could say that the value differential corresponds to the appreciation of Bitcoin since it appears on its balance sheets as cash, which would be much more volatile, but very liquid. Let's do the math. Today, the company has 92,000 Bitcoins, or about $3.7 billion. If I add $1.5 billion for the historical value of the company, I get a valuation of $5.2 billion. Since the company is worth $6.14 billion, this means that buying MicroStrategy shares is like buying Bitcoins at least 20% more expensive than the market because in reality, the valuation of the company itself should have decreased since its activity is slightly down. This is a strange way to invest. In reality, MicroStrategy is no longer a software company, but rather a Bitcoin investment fund. That's why I'm quite embarrassed when I'm told that many US companies have Bitcoins on their balance sheet. Most often, they are either investment funds that offer funds or ETFs in Bitcoin to their clients or companies in the technology sector more or less related to cryptocurrencies. The option is therefore not massive for the moment. There is the case of Tesla, which converted $1.5 billion of its cash into Bitcoins recently. The announcement had the effect of a bomb in the world of crypto. However, there is something to be said for it. The Tesla company has a real business with the construction of electric cars in the forefront of its sector. However, the company is very overvalued since the capitalization of the company is $577 billion, while the assets of the company are worth $23 billion. On the other hand, Tesla's business as such is not yet profitable since the profit it makes is due to the sale of carbon credits that it collects by selling its electric cars and that it resells to the CO2 emitting industries that need them to meet legal obligations. Tesla is making a profit thanks to government subsidies. It is for this reason that investor Michael Burry, who became doubly famous for anticipating the 2008 crash and having a movie made about his story starring Christian Bale, has openly bet down against Tesla recently. He still bet in the $530 million range. If Tesla falls apart, it is quite possible that the legendary Burry will go up another notch, as many investors have wanted to short Tesla and have fallen hard. In any case, for the moment, it is not so bad for him since he declared to have sold short between January and March 2021, and for the moment, Tesla shares are down compared to this period. But then what about all this? Can Bitcoin go into corporate cash flow to diversify risk? Honestly, no, at least not as cash. While Bitcoin has good liquidity, since it is traded in the tens of billions or even hundreds of billions per day, it is still speculative for a company. Bitcoin remains speculative for a company because by nature, a company must focus on its core business. Cash is a necessary evil for a well-functioning business because ideally, you prefer it to be invested in your business rather than in money, market funds, or the bank. So we shouldn't get too excited about the usefulness of Bitcoin for the cash flow of large groups. The problem with Michael Saylor and Elon Musk is that they take advantage of their very influential position on social networks to speculate on cryptos. Always remember that cryptos are not regulated by the financial authorities because active cryptos do not yet have a clear regulatory status. So all the big players can have a field day trying to make money with false statements or taking positions against what they preach. So as far as I'm concerned, MicroStrategy is just a very, very expensive hedge fund specializing in Bitcoin. All of this brings us back to a more fundamental question. What is the purpose of Bitcoin? Why do we buy it? In a very practical way, here are some of the uses of this strange thing. For the unbanked population, it is one of the few possibilities available to them to save and exchange some value. So, in my opinion, Bitcoin is much more useful in pockets of the people of El Salvador than in the treasury of Toyota. Long-term speculation. If you speculate that Bitcoin is a basis of the Internet of Value that is slowly taking hold, then you save 1% to 5% of your long-term savings in Bitcoin. This is what very serious financiers like Stanley Druckenmiller or Paul Tudor Jones, to name just two, are starting to do. Personally, I am in this situation. In the long term, 5 years, you also see Bitcoin as an anti-inflation asset and you fear inflation. Personally, I'm also in this situation. You like trading in thrills. Bitcoin is as volatile as it gets, so have fun. Other than these 4 situations at the moment, I don't see any other interest. There is something essential to keep in mind about Bitcoin and value. Basically, a population gets richer when it produces more wealth. You never get rich with finance or currency. All that money and finance do is unlock the potential of growth. Put another way, if we enter an economic recession where productivity is structurally declining because, I don't know, let's say we're running out of energy, then Bitcoin won't make you richer. At best, it will not make you poorer while the economy is regressing, which is not bad. It reminds me of the joke of a farmer who comes home from the market and says to his wife, "You know, I made a good deal today. I sold our cow for $1 million. "Well, how did you do that?" asked the wife. "Well, luckily, there was someone selling 4 sheep for $250,000. Your assets must remain diversified on different asset classes because they do not all have the same properties. For my part, most of my wealth is invested in companies, either in listed shares that I give in my investment letter or through direct holdings in companies that I know and in which I am more or less directly active. As we speak, Bitcoin is essentially a show of force that is paving the way for the revolution of the Internet of Value. However, today it is all in its infancy, so we have to keep that in mind. That's why I say don't invest more than 5% of your financial portfolio in Bitcoin or cryptos in general. On that note, see you soon for new videos. Ciao.
Thank you so much for watching. If you like my videos, please subscribe and don't forget to hit the bell if you want to be notified of the next episode.